Welcome to the Vanilla to Vixen podcast. This show contains adult content, so if you are under 18 or easily offended, please switch off now. Mr. and Mrs. N are not qualified relationship counsellors. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Now the disclaimer is out of the way, sit back, relax, and enjoy our journey from Vanilla to Vixen.
Welcome to episode 87 of Vanilla to Vixen. We are your hosts, Mr. and Mrs. N. We're also known as...
the Naughty Couple.
Hello, Mrs. N.
Hello, Mr. N.
Well, this episode, it's kind of a follow-on, really, from last week.
It is, a little bit.
Because we've had people write in. We've actually had people write in.
Why do you sound so surprised?
I know, I can't believe it. We've had people write in. We've got a lady who's said that she's got another name for swingers.
Ooh!
I know, which you were talking about last week.
We were.
So we'll talk about that in a little bit. We've had a lot of response about people telling friends and coming out and sort of talking about, you know, possibly... sort of revealing a little bit that they are in the naughty hobby.
Ah, okay.
Talking of that, actually, I've got a Christian friend, very religious.
Right.
And there's a brand new night at Liberty Elite.
Okay.
Called Curiosity.
Okay.
With a K.
Like it.
And it's a bi night for bi couples, bi guys, bi ladies and everything else. And I got the poster out.
Right.
And... this very, very religious Christian friend of mine came in, saw it, and kind of freaked out. And they just sort of, you know, went, sex between two men is wrong in their eyes. And I said, you're right, it should be up the bum. So I agreed with him. And he went away. And that was that.
Oh, it can sting.
There you go. So anyway, listeners... now that has that's gone.
Made me titter.
Yes, and then on a more serious note, we had a lady who wrote in and responded to your request, I suppose. It was a request, wasn't it?
It was a request, yes.
Let's see, is there another word that we can use for swinger? Because we think swinger is a little bit outdated.
Very outdated.
She came up with Sexplorers.
Ooh. I like that.
I did as well. And believe it or not, it's actually on the wiki search.
Is it?
Yeah. Sexplorer is someone that explores their sexuality.
Which is basically what we do.
We're Sexplorers.
Yes. That's it, guys. As of now.
Swinging is sexploring.
Yes.
And we are Sexplorers.
Okay, hashtag sexploring.
And that was sent in by a lady who simply wishes to be known as RL.
Oh, well, thank you very much, RL. I absolutely love that.
Very good.
It is. It's brilliant. We need to get it trending.
We'll be running with that.
We will. No more using of the swinger word.
Sexploring.
Sexploring it is.
And talking of sexploring, I know a lady that knows an awful lot about it.
I do too.
Let's ask her.
I think we should.
Ask Roxy. And joining us from her secret lair. That always makes you giggle, Mrs.
I know
N.
it does. It does.
It's the fabulous Roxy.
Hi, guys.
Hello, my lovely. I've just got images of how your lair is decorated.
It's the Bat Cave. It's the Bat Cave.
With lots of kinky stuff involved.
I was going to say, the reason I've been absent for a while is because I had to let Batman borrow my cave, because his was He's needed a bit of a clean from all them bats all over the place. So we've been borrowing mine for a little while, so I've always not been able to come along.
Have you seen all
Online.
Batman's contraptions and toys he has that shoot things out, and that's what it is. That's in my mind.
He's got the ultimate gimp outfit, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, yes.
He has. Absolutely.
I never thought about that.
There you go.
Batman is the ultimate super gimp.
He is. People will be looking at him in a whole new light now.
I don't know. I'd say more of a super sadist. He shoots webs out so his bondage comes straight out of his hands.
Yes.
So he'll tie you up straight just from shooting out of his wrists.
And Robin's almost wearing a mask. So
True.
Exactly, yeah.
He's wearing a BDSM mask with 2 little holes cut out of it. It's obvious. I don't know why I didn't think of this before. This is obvious that they are like the ultimate fet.
They are. Well, you think about it, all superheroes are in a way.
Definitely designed by fet people, definitely.
Absolutely. You've been rumbled. How are you doing, my lovely?
I'm really good, thank you. How are you both?
We are good, thank you. Yes, very good.
I know you were poorly when we last saw you, so you're sounding a a
Oh, loads, yeah. Another round of antibiotics, but I'm all right.
Bless you.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm back in pretty much full health now, so it's good.
It's fantastic. Very good.
Good. Right, so this week's question, I have a couple of questions for you this week.
Brilliant.
They've been flooding in. So the first one is, I don't have a name, so it's just an anonymous. And they've written, we are a couple who have been in a relationship for 5 years and discovered we both get very turned on by the thought of swinging. My girlfriend finds the thought of us being watched fucking and watching another couple at the same time really hot, but she doesn't want any actual touching with the other couple. We would like to experience this kind of play in a club. How likely are we to discover this type of kink in a club?
I think very easily. I think if they're looking at something that's more kind of intimate, then probably not so much, because most people, I would say, who go to clubs who would be interested in some more private play would be more into sort of soft swap or just some sort of swapping. But somewhere like Libs, for example, or somewhere clubs that have got large open play spaces where there are a number of beds that people can just go and use, then absolutely you can go in and you can watch people, and you'll be playing and people will be watching you. And I think that whole environment itself opens itself up for voyeurism and exhibitionism.
That's it, isn't it? That's the label of their kink is voyeur and exhibitionist.
I mean,
it?
Myself and Mr. N, we've done it where we've watched, we've been watched. We've also done it where we have shared a bed with another couple, but we haven't physically touched the other couple. And that was one of the hottest experiences that we've had, isn't it? Yeah. It's really, really sexy when you do that.
Especially somewhere like Libs with the large bed, you can be playing on the same bed and actually still be playing separately. Yeah. So yeah, I think I would say looking at, I don't know where the couple are from, but looking at clubs that have more open play spaces rather than sort of more individual intimate playrooms, they would be better off because they can actually have that experience where there'll be quite a few people watching potentially.
Yes, absolutely. Well said. Good advice again, Roxy.
Good advice, and it's really good fun. So
you need also as well. I mean, the couple I remember, Mrs. N, that you actually mentioned, they were actually quite a hardcore full swap couple. Yeah. But because they we were just chatting, and again, it's that thing of just begin with the social side of the fun and just see where it goes. And if you sort of say, this is just what we like doing, we like exhibition and voyeurism, do you want to share a room? And I remember the other couple coming out saying, we didn't actually touch, but that was one of the hottest experiences we've ever had.
It is. It's quite weird to try and explain how you can have such an erotic experience when you're not physically touching somebody else other than your own partner. But so it is.
It's just a case of just clicking socially and just seeing if another couple are interested. Yeah. They might be interested. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, true. Myself and Seb have played at cams before, and from memory, not that I remember exactly what was going on because I was quite engrossed in what I was doing, but I think two couples came in and it was like a very large space, on sort of spread out, and we were one side and the two couples were playing the other side, and I could tell that they were watching us just, you get a feeling when someone, and I could hear like the odd little things. But I mean, for me, I was completely oblivious to, because I was too busy enjoying myself. And then by the time they're gone, and I'm like, oh, where did those people go? Like,
you lost your audience.
Yeah, they came, had their fun, and disappeared again, and we were still out. So yeah, but yeah, so yeah, there's definitely options to do it, and you never know where it's going to lead either. So what you start off with certain boundaries. So obviously at the moment, the partner's very much no touching. Who knows, in a few years' time, they might be jumping in the middle of bed with everybody.
Exactly.
You just never know what's going to happen with how things change when you sort of, the first time you walk through that door and you go, this is the plan, this is what we want to do. And then, the next thing, you're doing a podcast. And
exactly.
The whole
plan goes out the window.
We only went in for a lemonade.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, the second one was actually somebody that had messaged on our Discord group.
Yes, so, on Vanilla to Vixen on Discord.
Yeah.
The invite is on the programme notes, and a couple sent in a lovely question.
Yeah, but actually it wasn't a couple, Mr. N. It was a single gentleman.
Okay, here we go.
So, just to correct you there.
There you go.
So he's come up with a really good point, which we've definitely never discussed before. So he's really interested in coming to Libs. He has been to other clubs, but he's really interested in coming to Libs, and he wants to sort of come sooner rather than later. And obviously this weekend it's Dark Desires. And he's just wondering, because that isn't his demographic, whether ladies and couples would be interested to talk to him. So his question is it worth him going to a hosted event that's got a specific demographic if he doesn't fit into that?
I'd say yes. The first thing, obviously, depending on the particular party, is making sure there's space on the guest list. Hosted parties, particularly things like Dark Desires, your parties as well, they get quite busy. And so it's just making sure, first of all, that there's space for you on the guest list. That's the most important thing. We hate turning people away when, if they're not on the guest list and there's too many people of that particular, whether it's too many single guys, too many couples, that sort of thing.
But as hosts, that is a necessary thing, isn't it? Because you have to sculpt that party that everybody there is having fun. You are in charge of sculpting that.
Yeah.
And it would be absolutely no fun being in a club full of 50 just straight guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. and also there's the limitations on the club itself in terms of the numbers. So that's why we always say, it's even if club members, it's always important to make sure you're on that guest list. So that's the first thing. But in terms of being welcomed at a party, then there's no reason why, just because you don't fit into the aimed demographic, that you couldn't go. Particularly Dark Desires is a fantastic night in terms of music, dancing. There's always people dancing. There's always people in the bar for this particular night. It's not one where you sort of turn around and go, oh, where's everybody gone? And they've all gone off to play. There's always people around.
Yeah, they're always still on the dance floor, aren't they, till really late in the evening.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So, if it's a night that you want to go and socialise and to have a dance and that sort of thing, absolutely. It's a fantastic night to go to. What people would be interested in terms of their own desires when they go to Dark Desires is actually, obviously down to the individual person. We would never say, you'd be fine, somebody will want to play with you, because we don't know, we can't sort for other people, and obviously play isn't facilitated. So we always say you should never go in with the expectation of getting anything other than a social night. So, but in terms of being social, it is absolutely a very social party. It would be the same as Dangerous Curves. We always say we don't mind if you've got big curves or little curves. We don't even mind if you've got no curves. If everybody's welcome at DC, and we try and make sure it's a body positive party. So as much as it might be aimed at the larger ladies and those who enjoy the company of larger ladies, absolutely everybody is welcome. So we would never want someone to feel like they couldn't attend because they don't fit into the aimed demographic again. it's just that's what the party is aimed at, and that's what the majority of people will be there for. But that doesn't mean everybody will. And just because, and everybody has different tastes. There's not, there's the majority of people who go to parties don't have a sort of a very blinkered, I like this type of person.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you get that, particularly at Dark Desires. But that doesn't mean that everybody there will have that same thought process. So I would say don't close your thoughts off just because you don't necessarily meet the demographic of a party, but just make sure you can get on the list first of all. That's all.
Good advice. Good advice in stereo.
The thing is, Roxy, obviously the listeners know you run DC, but you're also involved in some other events, aren't you?
Yeah, we've got some fabulous new parties coming up.
There's new ones. I'm so excited. It's like starting all over again.
Yeah, so there is. There's some Sundays coming up. We've got, I think, Sunday is one that's coming up, which is more of a sort of a chilled, open to all kind of party. We've got a by night, which is moving to a Sunday.
Curiosity.
Yes. That's the one.
With a K. Curiosity with a K. Go on Spicy Match. The poster's hot already. It's like really hot.
But the one I'm looking forward to most, and obviously any of the listeners who know my I can't even say the word, proclivities.
You're getting overexcited, Roxy. You're getting overexcited now.
Yeah, After Dark. That's the one I'm looking forward to most.
After Dark.
10th of April is the first one. It's an oldie but a goodie in terms of it's a party that used to be hosted by Libs Fetish Events back many years ago on a Thursday, if people can remember that far back. It's a swing and kink mix party.
Excellent.
So it is. Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see it back.
So can people bring their own sort of like floggers and things to this party?
Absolutely, yeah.
Excellent.
And I suppose if it's like a swing and kink event, people that are at different stages of their kinks, it would be a really good night for them, wouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely. So basically, if anyone who knows the club, the dance floor area becomes one big dungeon. So they bring all the equipment out, they take over the whole dance floor area. And we've got the fabulous lady Selena, who will be there, and she will be there to answer questions, even demonstrations, show people what things feel like, that sort of thing, but also making sure that everyone's playing safely in the dungeon area. It's going to be. It's good. I'm so looking forward to it. I really, really want it to become a successful night like it used to be.
When's this date?
April the 10th.
We've got to be there, Mrs. M.
I was just about to say we need to get on that list.
With our suitcase full of filth.
Yeah, well, hopefully, like I say, I'd like it to become a big event again, and having you guys there with your your wares from your website would be fantastic as well at some point.
That'd be
buy
awesome.
their own equipment.
Yeah,
we'll bring our suitcase full of filth with us.
Absolutely,
for people to see.
Yes,
that would be awesome.
So it's so I'm really excited, and myself and Zeb are looking forward to actually not working for this one.
Yeah.
So we're actually looking forward to being sort of partaking in the fun. And but yeah, that's the one I'm most excited about. So there's lots coming on for the club, and but that's what I'm most excited about. So anybody who's even slightly interested in a bit of kink with their swing, 10th of April, Wednesday, come along and just give it a go.
Excellent.
Definitely. That one's in the diary.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Roxy, for once again
very welcome.
sharing your wealth of wisdom.
I don't know about that.
And we shall see you again very soon.
Yes. I should back for V2V.
Yes.
When's that?
Yes. So V2V is on
April the 13th.
It is.
April the 13th.
Which is Grand National Day, and we are saying save a horse, ride a jockey.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
I think there may be a few riding crops appearing that evening. You never know.
If everyone wants to turn up in their silks with a little riding crop, they're more than welcome.
Oh my God. Now I've got visions.
Thanks ever so much, Roxy. You take care.
Oh, you're welcome. See you soon, guys.
Ask Roxy. The fabulous Roxy, all the way from her bat cave.
We'll never think of Batman the same, will we?
She's brilliant. So, we are talking in this episode about coming out.
Yes.
So to speak.
So to speak.
And more or less, is it the right thing to do? Because once the cat is out of the bag, once you've let the pussy go...
You can't shove it back in.
You can't. So you've got to think very carefully.
Yes.
And I suppose it depends on the maturity level of your friends. And I'm thinking of guys in particular. And it seems to all be happening, doesn't it, at the moment? We know hosts that are now sort of changing names of their parties and things because, it's coming out and things and they don't want everybody to know. And
yeah.
We've also had people this week who have decided to just say fuck it and they've just come out.
Exactly. To virtual strangers.
Yeah.
So I suppose the question is it easier just to come out and tell virtual strangers than it is obviously close friends and family?
That takes me back to episode 52.
Yes, it does. And funny enough, we've had the most amazing message, haven't we, this week? Are you going to read it out, Mr. N? Because I think it was a lovely message.
We have. Obviously, I'm not going to say sort of who it's from because I don't know.
No.
Well, I do know, but I'm not going to read their name out because it was an email. So,
can I just say before you read it out, Mr. N, that there are days, and people might not know this about us, but sometimes there are days when we sit here and we think, why are we doing this? Is it worth it? Are we making a difference? That kind of thing. And then you end up getting messages like this.
It's very true. That's very true.
Which then makes you think to yourself, and that's exactly why we do what we do.
It's very true. And this mentions episode 52. So it's Dear Mr. and Mrs. N. I started listening to your podcast near the beginning of this year. I'd been searching for something else to listen to since the Swing Hub podcast season had finished. My wife and I had been talking about dipping our toe in the naughty hobby for about a year now. Working from the very beginning, binging your podcast on my way to and from work each day just puts a big smile on my face, and hearing you talk about your experiences and the people you meet leave me fairly confident that this is where my people are at. Then I get to episode 52. Wow. Just for our listeners thing, episode 52 was when our family found out. It was quite emotional. He says, wow. When you revealed your daughter was the special guest, it just brought a tear to my eye. As a self-confessed wimp, having had my daughter 4 years ago, it really hit hard. The courage it took to deal with your ordeal the way you did and to come and talk with you on the show about it was just incredible. And it really shows how powerful a family bond can be with effective communication, and something I try to aspire to. I just wanted to say I really admire you all. One day, I really hope I get the opportunity to meet you both as soon as my wife plucks up the courage to give me the green light to book tickets for your event. There's no doubt in my mind that your event is where I want us to be, even if it does mean a long trip from where he's from.
Yes.
And he just says all the best for now, and thanks again for keeping me entertained on my commute and making me feel more comfortable with myself.
That's really lovely.
It's a beautiful email.
Isn't it?
Thank you so much for that. And things like that really do mean the world, because it is a weird job that we do.
It is a little.
And, when you can't even think up names for it, because those names are tinged with ridicule and sort of dated jokes, it kind of sometimes you get tired.
You do. I think that's a good way to describe it, especially with, family members who wouldn't necessarily understand why we do what we do.
Well, in your case, certain family members didn't understand.
No, exactly. And it's difficult because, that you see members of the family and they go, oh, how's the job and how you doing and everything. And you basically, you're having to lie because it's like, I can't sit there and say, well, the podcast was amazing this week. We had X amount of listeners and, so it does drag you down sometimes that you just can't be yourself, 100% yourself, because you're having to hide away because of people's perceptions of...
This is true. But then you've got other sort of people, such as with my family, I've got an auntie and uncle who I absolutely adore and love dearly. And I decided when your family found out and everything, that, you know, it was time to sort of tell them what we did. And that was quite a big step, because it's not simply a case of, every month we nip down to this club, and because we had to try and explain that we've got a podcast that is quite well known. We've written a book that quite a few people have read, and we host events that, you know, a lot of people enjoy. And to suddenly come out with that's quite a big thing.
It's a huge thing, especially after the reaction we got from my side of the family.
Yeah.
I was incredibly nervous, and I remember saying to you, are you sure you want to do this?
And that was a good question, because you asked me why I wanted to do it. You asked me the reasons, and that's always to challenge someone on why they want to do something, I think is always a good thing. And my reason simply is because I really loved them and cared for them.
Yeah.
And so it was at a stage where it was already out there.
Yeah.
You know, so beforehand, you know, we've been doing this for years and years, and I felt I didn't need to share that with them.
No, not at all.
And that was equally because I love them.
Yeah.
And respect them.
Yeah.
And so I felt that they didn't need to know the intimate parts of our naughty hobby and sex life. And so, you know, you can look at this as a two-sided coin, that when you love and respect someone, you don't need to share everything with them.
No.
But then when it does get out to a certain degree, in order to protect them so that they hear it from us first.
Yes.
You know, I know with pretty much confidence that they weren't hanging around on Fab Swingers, and you know, they weren't going to bump into our you know, online fun, so to speak. But then when it gets out there to the degree that it was with us, then I wanted them to hear it from me.
Yes.
And that is, I think, a very important decision that you make.
Yeah. And I think everybody should have that opportunity. Doesn't sound like the right word.
No,
but
opportunity is the right word.
I think everybody that is in the naughty hobby, that lives that kind of life, they should be in control of who they decide to tell and when they decide to tell people. And I do not agree at all with people that want to out people just for spite.
No, outing people is absolutely, you know, lower than snake's belly, and nobody should ever be outed. And indeed, it's a criminal offence to share photographs of people. Obviously, not if it's in the public domain, but if those photographs were taken from a private, you know, somebody's private computer or whatever, and used against them, that is a criminal offence that's imprisonable.
Yeah, it's despicable.
It is, but even to take photos that are on Fab Swingers, which is obviously a public site, or something like Spicy Match, whatever, and somebody could easily copy those and use that against somebody. But the thing is, if you're that type of person that is doing that, you're probably not listening to this show anyway.
No.
You probably got bored of us back in episode 1, because I can't see that those type of people that would want to out somebody would be the type of person that sits listening to two people talking about, you know, going along to places and straightening each other's crowns and you know, making people feel special about themselves.
Yeah.
Because that's the opposite end of the spectrum.
Yes.
You know, and so people, the sort of people that take pleasure and take enjoyment from the drama, because that's what it's all about. It's
all about the drama, isn't it? And it's usually all down to the fact that they're jealous.
Jealousy is a lot of it, although they might not even realise it themselves.
No.
But it's usually the fact that people are so unhappy in their own lives that they feel the need to make drama out of other people's lives.
Yeah.
And it's at that point, if you are a naughty hobbyist, and you do have to make sometimes a conscious decision of who you tell and who you don't tell.
Yeah.
And that can be very difficult. as we've said before, and we said last week, if you are ever in the situation that you do have to come out and tell somebody, you're also in control of how much you tell them.
Yeah.
So, you don't need to be in a situation where you go, oh yeah, we were down the club. Fucking hell, I'm knackered. We were on the big bed for 3 hours. You wouldn't say that kind of stuff in your private life, about your private sex life. So why would you feel the need to do it just because you're coming out as a swinger? There's no need to do that.
No. Not swingers, Mr. N. What are they?
Sexplorers.
Sexplorers, thank you.
Exactly.
The thing is, it is a double-edged sword as well, because I remember when we kind of got outed, I was incredibly angry in the beginning because I felt that was our secret. We loved the fact that it was our secret.
Yeah.
And I felt like they'd taken that away from us.
There's a certain amount of pleasure, isn't there? We've
Yes.
spoken to our friends about this, where there certainly is a certain amount of pleasure from it being the naughty hobby. It's your secret naughty hobby.
Yeah.
It's something that you do that no one else knows. And there's a form of escapism there.
Yeah. But on the flip side of it, now that people do know, and like you say, we've spoken to your auntie and uncle and, your best mate.
Yeah, I kind of let that one out of the bag.
Yeah, that was your fault.
I did try to get him on for this week, but he was having none of it.
We're working on him, aren't we? We're working on him.
Mr. G.
Yeah.
We'll get him. He might be coming to Vegas Vixens. If we get him to Vegas Vixens, you will be the first to know about it, dear listeners. And we will definitely then get him on the show. We'll get him on then to talk about it.
But it was almost kind of a relief that people knew because it takes a lot of pressure off you.
It was a hugely liberating experience.
It is incredible. So I do think that if you have ever been in that position or you're ever put in that position, try not to think it is a complete negative.
You will at the time.
You will. You can't help it at the time because
at the time, the feeling it's a utter feeling of dread.
It is.
And this is for some people this is their worst nightmare, is being outed, and it completely depends upon the situation. It might be friends that simply come across your Fab account and recognise your Sesame Street Big Bird tattoo.
I don't know where you were going with that.
It might be that. It might be simply that somebody recognises you in a club.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, in that circumstance, there really is zero to fear.
Yes.
Because the first thing is, well, what were they doing on Fab Swingers looking for you?
Yeah.
The second thing is, if they see you in a club, and I never understand this myself, where people go, oh yeah, well, we don't go to our local club because it's too close, we might bump into anyone. Trust me on this one. We've been doing this for some years now. You're more likely to meet people further away.
Which happened to us. It did.
You can share a car with your neighbour going there. Save fuel. Because you're more likely to meet people further away than you are in your local club.
So, I mean, that's a good point. So if you were approached by somebody who knew you and maybe we've had this happen to us before where we've been messaged and said, I'm really, really sorry. I've been on Fab. I've seen your profile. We know each other.
Yeah.
And at the time we were just like, well, that's all right. Don't worry about it.
But that person was a beautiful person.
I know. And there are a lot of beautiful people out there that would react the same way.
He was a beautiful guy and he was full of apologies.
He was.
And we were like, it's cool. And he was more embarrassed about it because he knew us in such a different way. So
yes.
For a start, you've got that fear and dread because all of a sudden, somebody that knows you with your clothes on suddenly knows, horror, gosh, you have sex. But it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because a lot of it is that we cover things up, we covet in this life, and
yeah, but that's only because of how it's perceived outside and the fact that it still has this stigma attached to it.
But we pretty much cover everything in this, certainly in the UK.
Yeah,
we cover everything to do with sex. It's just, we're never perceived as sexual beings, which is obviously is appropriate in a lot of life, but if somebody suddenly discovers that you have a healthy sexual appetite, and yes, you like going to naughty clubs, they still don't know what you do there.
No.
Because when you feel outed, you suddenly feel, and again, this has happened to us, listen to episode 52, you'll know all about it. You'll suddenly feel a loss of control.
Yeah.
You'll feel a loss of all the power that this person's got power over you. But trust us, they don't, because you still hold all the cards, because they don't know what you get up to in that club. They've not seen you in the gimp mask.
Are we going back to Batman?
Exactly. And so you're sort of picturing things in your mind about what they'll say, and they'll go around telling everyone. Big deal.
Yeah.
You go to a club which has got swingers.
Exactly.
You can stand at the bar and have a drink. It's not the end of the world. Nobody's died. It's not a tragedy.
Yeah.
It's simply that somebody knows you go to a club to drink, or it could be a fact that, yes, you are on Fab Swingers, and they've seen your tits or they've seen your bum. That's it. Is it really the end of the world?
I mean, in fairness, going back to the friend of ours that messaged and was really apologetic, saying, I'm really sorry, I've seen your profile. We just responded with, well, you've seen mine, I want to see yours. Didn't we?
Exactly.
And that's how it was dealt with, because it was just...
Yeah. I mean, there are always exceptions to the circumstance, and we know sort of circumstances that were where people were outed in a malicious way.
Yeah.
And we must stress that this is extremely rare.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen all the time. Most of the time, we know quite a few couples now that have been discovered and found out, and guess what? Nothing happened.
Yeah.
Bit of embarrassment, bit of a giggle,
yeah,
bit of tittering, and life went on.
Yeah, exactly.
They went to sleep that night, they woke up the following morning, and it was fine. But then, as I say, in an extreme circumstances, and I can count it on one finger, where somebody was really maliciously outed, and it was almost a hate campaign against that person.
Yeah.
That was obviously a different situation, and I wouldn't want to tarnish the seriousness of that situation.
Not at all.
With me making light of people simply being outed. And that was, in that particular circumstances, which I'm not going to talk about, but that was a hate campaign against the person.
Yeah.
And when you're in that circumstance, people will use anything against you anyway. Yeah. So whether you're a swinger or whether you do whatever, it doesn't matter.
I think after you get over the initial shock, and and actually just see it for what it really is, it's sometimes isn't quite as bad as what you ever thought it was going to be.
But you can say that with a cool mind.
I can now. At the time,
no, because
it felt like the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, I mean, and I did say we would never ever talk about episode 52 and what happened there ever again, but this is with reference to that, because we're talking about coming out, and in our sort of circumstance, unfortunately, ours was extremely negative.
Yes.
For us, we had to tell our kids.
Yeah.
But had we not been forced into that position, we wouldn't have told them at that stage.
Not at that particular point, no, because it wasn't necessary.
And so for us, that opportunity was taken away from us.
Yeah.
So now sort of, probably almost getting towards a year later after that incident, you can look at that with a much cooler head. And how do you feel about that now?
There's part of me, if I was totally honest, there's part of me that's incredibly hurt and still upset with how it was handled. I feel a little bit, let down. I think you just... There's part of you, when you grow up, you would just automatically assume that your family will always be there for you and support you no matter what, because they love you.
I mean, that obviously did cost you the relationship with your family member. Yeah,
absolutely. Which, I am, incredibly sad about. I just thought that, the relationship was worth more than that, but
it takes two people to be in a relationship.
Yes.
Whether that would be a marriage or boyfriend, girlfriend, romantic relationship, or even a family relationship.
Yeah.
It takes two people.
Yeah.
And so if one person decides that the issues are bigger than the relationship, then there's nothing you can do about that.
Exactly. And, I'm having to come to terms with that because I do not want to give up the life that I have. I get so much enjoyment.
That's a very broad statement. What is it in the life that you wouldn't give up?
The friendships, the closeness that we have, the way we communicate with each other, the fun that we have together, how it enriches our relationship. As we've always said, it's not a replacement, it's an enhancement.
There are perhaps some that could say that, well, you could do that behind closed doors, whereas you publicise what we do.
Yeah, and the reason that we do that...
In that particular circumstance, that was probably the part that cost you the relationship.
Yes.
It's the fact that you publicised what we do.
Yeah, because I feel very strongly about it. And it's... I want people to be told the truth about the naughty hobby.
Yeah.
And I mean the real truth, not what's portrayed. And, when people can see the messages that we receive and the compliments we get from people saying, you have no idea what you've done for my relationship, you've saved my marriage, all those kind of things, that's so powerful to think that we've had a part in that. And I feel incredibly proud.
And that brings me on because in the news this week, swinging has hit the headlines again with Infusions, the club Infusions,
oh, right, yeah,
which is in Blackpool. So I'm reading this from the Metro, where the headline is, a woman sues NHS for £10 million after breaking her neck diving into a swingers club pool. And it's got a big picture of Infusion at Blackpool. And the woman who claims she was left paralysed after being mishandled by paramedics is suing the UK health authorities. The claimant, who has not been identified, broke her neck in August 2021 after drunkenly diving into the shallow end of a swimming pool at Infusion Swingers Club in Blackpool. And obviously that's a real tragic case.
Yeah.
That is on social media. And the only thing you get in the comment section is people laughing.
Yeah.
You're always going to get some amount of childish behaviour, but I found that really a tragic story.
Yeah, it is.
And the only thing people saw in it was swinger, swinger, swinger.
Yeah.
It's still got that element of ridicule to it.
I know. But it's interesting because a very, very dear friend of ours, who we absolutely love and adore, was telling us a story that, they keep their naughty hobby life private. They don't tell anybody other than the people that are already in the hobby. And she was in a situation where she was with a group of strangers, but they were together for a few days.
Yeah.
And for some strange reason, she decided to out herself to them, which we were like, what the hell are you doing? And she just said, oh, what the hell? I'll just come out and say it. But the funny thing was, nearly every single person in that group that she'd spent time with all had some sort of kink.
They embraced her, said she was a fucking legend, I think was the word.
And some of them actually said, she sounded normal compared to some of the others, what kinks they had.
It opened up that dialogue for them to then admit what their kinks were.
Yeah.
I think there was only one there that said she just preferred a cup of tea.
Yes. Which is absolutely fine.
Exactly.
But it just goes to show, and I think this is happening more and more, that there's actually a lot of people out there that have got either a kink, not necessarily, a sex explorer.
A sexplorer.
Oh, a sexplorer, sorry. Get it right. But, you know, they have their own kinks, which I think in the Muggle world, as we call it, would probably frown upon.
Absolutely. What it has done is being in the naughty hobby has given her that confidence to literally tell a bunch of virtual strangers what she likes doing and who she is and what she enjoys.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful thing because that opened up that dialogue, and she did it in obviously the right way, that they then felt comfortable to suddenly open up about what they liked.
Yeah. But that's the thing, isn't it? When you have that confidence to be able to say, oh, do you know, stuff it. I'm just going to talk about it. And then you find out that maybe, you know, 4 out of the 5 people that you're talking to all have either a similar kink or do something, you know, along those lines. It's like there's so many people out there. So this is where it frustrates me. It's like, why is it still looked upon and frowned upon and it's laughed at? Because there's so many people in this world.
If people didn't have sexual fantasies, the porn industry wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
You know? And it's still massively frowned upon in this country, I think. Masturbation's still something of ridicule and to be frowned at.
I know. And this is the thing that makes me laugh. And I think we have talked about this before. It's like sex. Sex is a natural thing to do as humans.
None of us would be here if it wasn't for sex.
Exactly. It is. You know, if you believe in the whole God put us on this earth to, you know, recreate and everything else, and that's what we do. It's like, so why do people still laugh about it? It's just, that's what makes me giggle, because it's just like, but this is a really, really normal thing to do. It's like we talk about animal instincts and stuff. This is a human instinct. It's built in us to do that. And it baffles me why.
Because then if you've got somebody who's not in such a good relationship, perhaps it's somebody that can't find a relationship. Perhaps it's somebody that's been in a relationship where the excitement has died. And somebody comes along and goes, God blimey, I'm living the dream. They're not going to feel so good about themselves.
Yeah.
And so that's the instant situation. And it reminds me, everybody knows I'm a huge car buff. Everybody knows I love cars. And 20, 30 years ago, Europeans used to, in the 80s, 90s, so I'm probably going back even further, Europeans used to come to London and they couldn't understand it. That if you drive a Ferrari in Italy, back then probably when Ferraris were a little bit rarer, they're more common these days. But back then when Ferrari was really special, you'd have groups of kids lining the streets just to see this Ferrari going down the road. And they would clap and they would, you know, if you did that in London, kids would be lining up to key it.
Yeah.
And that's the mentality that, you know, a sad minority have. That the only way they can feel special about themselves is to pull the person that's living the dream down. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And it's just kind of what mentality you have.
Yeah. Do you think also it's you know, were you talking about masturbating? And it's like, I, for some strange reason, it makes me want to giggle. And there are certain words that just seem really, I don't know. I sometimes think the words themselves don't help.
The term, if you're English, wanker.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why is that a negative thing? You wanker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And but I think I prefer to hear the word wanker than masturbate. For some reason, it doesn't. You say the word masturbate and you just think, ugh, which is ridiculous. So the word itself it's like vagina. Nobody likes the word vagina.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, no. I mean, everybody's got words for their hoo-has and the whatever else, but the word vagina just makes you want to go behind you, you know, behind your hand, just tittering because it sounds... Where do you think we've got that mentality from?
I don't know. I think the word wank comes from the noise the bed makes when you do it. Wank, 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 wank. This is just our bed.
I was just about to say, I think that's probably just our bed.
I've never heard a bed go masturbate.
Only if you're down south.
Never heard that either.
But I do wonder how much it is, because I remember having sex education classes at school, so secondary school. So you're talking about the ages, 12, 13.
Yeah.
And I almost got thrown out of the class because they were talking about erections, and I just started to giggle. I'm a teenager, I'm a schoolgirl, and it just seems... And I'm wondering if, you have that mentality when you're at that age, and you just carry it on through adulthood.
How did you feel? What was the... Did you feel any sense of embarrassment or shame when you knew that your family knew?
No. In a word. I think maybe before we started doing the podcast and the book and even going to the club probably, I probably would have done, because it was, it was just us two. It was very secret.
Okay.
I think I might have felt a little bit embarrassed because of how people perceive it.
But all of a sudden you're aware of this massive crowd.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden then it becomes that, well, you just don't understand us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also, like I said to you before about our friends, the people that you meet, we're all normal. We are just normal, everyday people. We're not weirdos.
And they are such beautiful people.
Beautiful people. Some of the nicest people you could ever wish to meet.
This was one thing when I was talking to my friend, and he just couldn't get his head around how beautiful the community was.
Yeah.
And his words literally were, yeah, if you say so. He literally just didn't get it.
Because everybody thinks we're all slimy and weird.
Yeah. And that's...
Because they think you have to be that way, to want to have sex with somebody else, or watch your wife have sex with somebody else, or...
But we say, but it's not about sex.
I know.
And that's what people find difficult.
Yeah, and that's the bit that...
Because you do predominantly go to a swingers club for sex, for sexy... Not for literal penetration, but for sexy experiences.
I mean, who doesn't want to feel sexy?
Exactly.
Who doesn't want to feel desired?
Who doesn't want to feel like a rock star?
Exactly.
You can go into, in our case, Liberty Elite. We bang on about Liberty Elite because we absolutely adore that club. We love the community. It's where our base is.
Yeah.
And so, I make no apologies for going on about it, because that's where our experiences are.
And I think we need to let people understand, because like we say, we do bang on about Liberty Elite all the time, and we know some of you will get bored of hearing it. But if it wasn't for Liberty Elite, I'm not sure how far we would have progressed. It's because of the love and the understanding and the friendships we made at that club.
Yeah. Allowed
us to grow, and...
That's where we clicked.
Exactly.
We went to other clubs. Obviously, that was our first club, but then we did explore, and we said, well, when we started doing the podcast, we were like, well, we better just try some other places. Yeah. But we had clicked there.
Yeah.
It's
a very special thing when you have a club, and I'm sure some of you that are listening, and exactly when we were interviewing Kitten and Wolf, and their club is Ecstasia.
Yes.
And they have a real fondness for Ecstasia.
And you can see when they talk about it, the absolute adoration.
Yeah, and lots of people will be that way about one particular club.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing about the community is we're not trying to convert each other.
No.
There's no tribalism.
Not at all.
There are other clubs that we adore. We adore Purple Mamba. It's a beautiful club. And we love Chris and Amanda, who run Purple Mamba.
They're a very special couple.
Beautiful people. And there's no conversion there.
No.
We want everybody to succeed. We want everybody to do well, because we love the community as a whole. Yeah. And so when you hear, Wolf and Kitten talk about, you can see their eyes just going, oh yeah, Ecstasia, the first time we went, and talking about it. And there's no desire there to go, no, Liberty Elite's better.
No, not at all.
There's no tribalism.
And I think the thing about the naughty hobby, when you are involved in it, because there's so many diverse evenings you can go to clubs, or people's kinks.
Such a wide spectrum of kinks.
Massive. It doesn't matter who you are, what you do. what you like, there's something out there for everybody.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it isn't competitive in a way. I don't feel the clubs compete against each other. I think they support each other because there's going to be certain clubs for some people and certain clubs for other people.
I think the clubs are certainly around us are far enough away. So, and the clubs are so different. So obviously, you have Uniques in Leicester, which is in the Leicester City area, which offers a very different experience to Liberty Elite, which is right on the outskirts of Leicestershire.
Yeah.
So all those two, one's in the county, one's in the city, but it's in the same area. Again, they're so different and they offer such different things.
Yeah.
That there's no competitiveness there. Perhaps if there were more clubs, perhaps it would be a bit more competitive.
Yeah.
And I think owners of swingers clubs that we've spoken to, such as Chris and Amanda, you can see what an absolute labour of love it is for them.
Yeah.
It goes way beyond just being a business.
Yes.
It's an absolute passion.
Yeah.
And so when it's like that, obviously they're very protective and that they naturally will all say that their club is the best. They must believe that in order to fulfil the job that they do.
Yeah.
But by the same ruling, there's still love there for the other clubs. There's still respect there for the other clubs.
Absolutely.
And that's what makes everything in the community so special.
It does. So the one thing that always makes me giggle a little bit, and this goes back to, I think it was when we first decided to try a little bit of BDSM. And we were going to talk about it on the podcast, do you remember? And we said, how can we possibly talk about this if we haven't tried it?
Yeah.
And this is my point with people that aren't in the hobby, so don't particularly understand it. Why do you ridicule something that you have no knowledge of?
Kink shame.
Exactly. So before you decide to, make somebody feel uncomfortable or out them or whatever else, go and try it for yourself first before you do.
Yeah, but Mr. Horney famously used the word evolve.
Yeah.
And we loved it. We fell in love with it, and we've even got a T-shirt on the store saying evolved.
Would that be vanillatavixen.co.uk?
That'd be the one. Over an hour before we even said it. But I equate that to, would you try and teach a 4-year-old algebra, advanced scientific, algebra equations? There'll be 1 in 1 million that will get it.
Yeah.
Because I think you have to let people naturally evolve.
No, I get that. All I'm saying is I just don't think that unless you have enough knowledge about a certain subject, I certainly don't think you should be making people feel uncomfortable because of it.
No, but those people that do go around making people feel uncomfortable and go around kink shaming, I would just smile. I would just smile inwardly with the confidence of knowing that I feel evolved. To me, that isn't evolved behaviour. So, I hope that doesn't sound arrogant, but that's how I feel inside.
Yeah.
I remember being at the club many years ago, and I remember a newcomer, a young lady coming in. I think she came in with a female friend, and there were several young ladies that had dressed down. And I remember her reaction. It was obviously, the first time she'd ever seen anything like it.
Yeah.
I just remember going, oh my God. And she laughed, like an embarrassed laugh, because for the first time she'd obviously seen people totally dressed down, probably revealing boobs and things.
Yeah.
And you could see that the fact that she just didn't know how to handle that situation.
Yeah.
The other ladies didn't see her kind of titter into herself, and thank goodness. But the person that stood out there wasn't the ladies that had dressed down. It was the lady that was tittering about it.
Yeah.
Because you were in a room full of people who, they look beautiful, they look fantastic.
Yeah.
And wow. And so, to me, that lady that tittered, and it wasn't like a big outbursting dramatic tit or anything like that. It was just a quiet, you could see that, you know, I was standing very close to her and I could just see that she didn't cope very well probably with the situation that she suddenly found herself in.
Yeah.
And to me, it just showed her lack of being involved.
Yeah. No, it's a good point. But you know how you said to me earlier when we got outed and how I felt? How did it make you feel?
I mean, back then, I remember feeling rage. But sort of now, again, I look with all nearly a year's time that's passed, and so many things have happened.
Yeah.
Good and bad. I almost tittered to myself because it wasn't a tragedy. Nobody died.
Yeah.
You know, I am tremendously sad for the loss of relationship, and I feel sad for any embarrassment that they may have had, simply being connected to us as family.
Yeah.
But other than that, my attitude is, you know, you can't go around controlling people. And if you think you can, that you can control, and you have this demand to know everything that everybody's doing all the time, that's a very big judgmental check that you're writing.
Yeah.
That's a very big set of boots that you're trying to fill. That's arrogance.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's free to do what they want.
Yeah.
And,
absolutely.
And, you know, with that sort of, like I say, it's almost a year's experience now. I just smile and just think to myself, I think, you know, hopefully one day you'll evolve.
Yeah, I'd like to think so.
And that's it. And,
I'd like to think that would happen.
you know, and if that person was in the room today, I would simply say hello and, you know, offer a hug and just be me.
I think that's the thing, because regardless of what we do in our private life, I'm still the same person I was before they knew.
Of course.
And I think that's the bit that hurts.
Are you, though? That's a big question.
Well, to an extent.
Are you?
To an extent, I think there's part of me that is still the same person.
There's part of you.
Yes.
But unfortunately, with evolvement becomes, you develop, you grow. There's growth.
There is. And I think it's for the better. I think I'm a better person because of it.
The things we enjoyed as being 7 and 8 year olds, we don't enjoy now because we evolve, we change, we grow. And so, you know, are you the same person? I'm not so sure.
Well, yeah, I suppose when you look at it that way, then yeah, I'd have to honestly say, no, I'm not the same person because I have evolved, but I think I've evolved into a better person because of it.
I think so, but I'm your husband and I'm biased, you know, and that's the thing. And I do the naughty hobby with you, so
that's true. But I always think, regardless of naughty hobby or anything else, if I see somebody that is, you know, excelling at life or having an amazing time, you know, say they've worked really hard and they're enjoying the benefits from it, as a person, I would be so happy for them.
You would clap the Ferrari going down the street?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because that's their life. That's not my life. That's theirs. I have my life, they have theirs. And I'm happy for anybody who is living their life and having the best time.
Absolutely.
And I just find it sad that there's people out there that can't do that.
But in life, you will come across those people.
Yeah,
it's inevitable,
I know. Of course it is.
And it's how you react to that.
Yeah,
and the best reaction is to just carry on being yourself.
Exactly.
Smile.
Yeah,
and feel that inner proudness that you're evolved. You know, you're not like that.
I think that's good advice. So if you are in a position where you're wondering whether you should say anything to close friends or family, first of all, think to yourself, be proud. Be proud of who you are.
Yeah.
Be proud of the life that you live that makes you happy. Because once you've got that...
Stick with your community. Stick with the people that you trust, and the people that you feel supported by.
Yeah.
And if somebody's ridiculing you, you don't have to stoop down to their level. You don't have to ridicule back. The minute you start ridiculing them, you've lost the argument.
Yeah, exactly.
You show them that you're the one that's evolved.
Yes.
And go, yeah, it's fucking good fun. And I'm living the dream. And I do. People ask me now.
Yeah.
Years ago, before this, people used to say to me, you know, are you all right? How are you doing, kind of thing? And I used to go, yeah, I'm good, thanks. Now, I literally say, I'm living the dream. We actually said this, didn't we, in the supermarket?
Yeah, we did.
And this guy literally looked at me. We hadn't seen for ages and ages and ages. He was just kind of an acquaintance, really. And he just looked at me almost like, no one fucking says that. His exact words were, I'm glad you are. And it just goes to show how life and just day-to-day monotony of rubbish, politics and shit, the news and everything else can bring people down.
Yeah.
And so use the escape of the hobby and live the fucking dream.
Exactly, I know, exactly. I think at the end of the day, if you've got the confidence in yourself that the life you're living is the life you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nobody can hurt you with that.
And in the face of ridicule, live the dream.
Very good advice, Mr. N. Now, before we go...
Yes.
We just need to mention Vanilla to Vixen.
Absolutely.
So the next Vanilla to Vixen is happening on Saturday
the 13th of April.
It is.
It is Grand National Day in the UK. Save a horse, ride a jockey.
That is your saying, isn't it?
It is.
So we have got a little game to play, haven't we?
Yes.
Which is...
it's another card matching game.
It is a card matching game.
Which is an icebreaker for people that... So if you're worried about something, first coming to a club and you don't know anybody, which many couples like that. Lots of couples don't know any other couples. So it gives you a chance to go and speak to other people and go, have you got my matching horse or jockey?
Yeah, it kind of starts the conversation off a little bit,
Exactly.
doesn't it? So, and if you happen to match your horse to your jockey,
yeah,
you are in with a chance to winning one of our naughty prizes.
It's a special V2V riding crop.
Yay!
Especially for the Grand National.
Oh, we do spoil you lot, don't we?
I know.
So just remember, if you want to get on the guest list, then you need to contact us. And how can they do that, Mr. N?
You can contact us on Fab Swingers. We are the Naughty Couple, spelled NAUGHTYCP1. Or you can contact us on that lovely thing called X Twitter. We are Naughty Couple, spelled NAUGHTYCOUP1E, because Elon Musk lost my original account. Or you can email us, which is really old-fashioned, but it's really good. And you can email us, naughtycouple, NAUGHTYCP1 @yahoo.com. Or you could join Discord.
I was just about to say.
Join Discord, send us a message.
Exactly. Get onto the V2V room, as they call it. The link to it will be in the programme notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good way.
Lovely. Well, that's about it then.
We'll see you next week.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.